The Las Vegas Aces walked into opening night expecting a celebration. Championship rings, cameras everywhere. Fans screaming like the dynasty was about to continue right where it left off. Aja Wilson stood there talking about pressure, talking about how the crown keeps getting heavier, talking like a leader preparing everybody for another title run. And then the game started. By the end of the night, the defending champions weren't celebrating anything. They were getting booed, clowned online, and blown out by 33 points in front of their own crowd. Not by some super team either. A Phoenix Mercury squad that people spent weeks doubting completely embarrassed them from the opening minutes. And somehow, the score wasn't even the most shocking part. Because once the final buzzer hit, fans immediately started asking a dangerous question nobody expected this early in the season. Are the Aces still the team everybody fears? Or is the dynasty starting to crack right in front of us? The scary part for Vegas was how fast everything spiraled. At first, the energy inside the arena still felt normal. Ring ceremony, smiles everywhere. Players showing off championship jewelry the size of small trophies. The crowd was loud. The media was treating it like a coronation. Another year of dominance. Another season where everybody else was supposedly chasing the Aces. But Phoenix came into that building looking angry, not nervous, not intimidated. Angry. Every loose ball belonged to them. Every defensive rotation looked sharper. Every possession had purpose. It felt less like an opening night game and more like a team trying to send a message to the entire league, and Vegas looked completely unprepared for it. The Mercury started pushing the pace early, attacking gaps in transition, forcing the Aces into uncomfortable defensive switches. Before the crowd even had time to settle in, Phoenix was already controlling the game. That's when the panic started creeping in. Because championship teams usually respond fast, the Aces didn't. Every time it looked like Vegas might settle down, Phoenix punched them again. Open threes, fast break layups, defensive stops turning into instant momentum. The Mercury bench was louder than the home crowd. And then came the moment that really made fans lose their minds. A player getting some of her first meaningful WNBA minutes suddenly looked more composed than the defending champions. Nobody expected that. Nobody. The internet immediately exploded with reactions because people weren't just watching the Aces lose. They were watching role players outshine superstars on ring night. That's humiliation. And by halftime, the game already felt over. Not competitive. Not dramatic. Over. The scoreboard looked fake. Fans kept refreshing their phones thinking there had to be some mistake. How does a championship team go from celebrating rings to trailing by 30 in the same night? And the deeper the game went, the uglier it got. Because it wasn't just missed shots. It wasn't just bad luck. Vegas looked disconnected. Rotations were late. Communication broke down constantly. Defensive assignments got blown apart, possession after possession. The chemistry that usually makes the Aces look unstoppable suddenly looked shaky. That's what scared people. Not losing. How they lost. Because when dominant teams collapse like that, fans immediately start searching for someone to blame. And naturally, the spotlight turned toward Aja Wilson. Now to be clear, Aja still produced statistically. She scored. She battled. On paper, the numbers didn't even look terrible. But fans don't care about stat sheets when the team loses by 33. That's the reality of being a superstar. When your team wins, you get the praise. When your team gets embarrassed on national television, people start questioning everything. Leadership, energy, body language, accountability, and online? The reactions got brutal fast. Some fans were saying Aja looked frustrated too early. Others blamed the supporting cast completely. Some pointed at Chelsea Gray's quiet performance. Others went after the bench production. A few people even started questioning whether the roster construction was becoming too dependent on Aja carrying everything. That's how fast narratives shift in professional basketball. 1 week, you're untouchable. One bad night later, everybody suddenly thinks the dynasty might be vulnerable. And honestly, the timing made everything worse. Because the WNBA was already dealing with non-stop attention surrounding Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. The Fever had their own ugly conversation.